Tanvi, of course, you're tracking Prime Minister Modi's visit to the US. Hopefully, we'll get these clips out before he lands, so nothing gets dated. What are some of the big things to look out for?
So I think one you'll just see with the thing to watch out for is the kind of personal dynamics between President Trump and Prime Minister Modi. Partly because both leaders like the personal diplomacy style. I think you'll also see a likelihood that part of this visit we're not going to necessarily see, though. With President Trump, even if India doesn't want to announce something or talk about discussions, he'll go out there and tweet about it. President Trump will, so we might actually hear about it. But some of this, I think, for Prime Minister Modi is to talk to President Trump about what India's value to the US, what India is willing to do, and he will probably make this thing that India is not asking for much. It's not an ally. It's in fact willing to burden share. But I think part of it is he'll want to shape President Trump's view about what India brings to the table. But also, I suspect he will want to talk to him about the situation and the landscape in the Indo-Pacific more broadly. There is a debate that is going to happening right now in the Trump administration about China. There are people, including sometimes the president himself, who want to do a deal with China. But I think there are others who are more competitive and concerned about Chinese assertiveness and the U.S. power and position in the Indo-Pacific. And so I think part of what Prime Minister Modi will also be trying to do is have a broader conversation about the world with President Trump and try to the extent possible, shape his views about the situation in the Indo-Pacific and say, look, in Asia, you actually have allies and partners who are willing to burden share with you. This is not about America doing things for the world and everybody just, free riding. I do think he is also going to want to hear what President Trump's priority asks are. I think they've anticipated some of them, but he will have to, and I think I would not be surprised if India is prepared to respond to some of those asks during the visit or sometime after. I think they would have done, as I said, that landscape study. So, I'm watching to see what we might hear, the kind of, again, to use the kids stuff, the vibes that come out of that meeting. And it'll likely follow Prime Minister Modi's visit to France, where he might actually come across JD Vance, the vice president, as well. You're also going to likely see, I would not be surprised if we saw an attempt to arrange a Modi Musk meeting and see what comes out of that. And that's interesting because, on the one hand, Elon Musk has a view of China that is at odds with India's view. But at the same time, he has been a defender of H-1B visas, which India cares about. And then, there's the third dimension, which is that Elon has a lot of business in front of the Indian government. So now I think that's something India has to grapple with, which is, for the first time, very explicitly so. So, some would say that, the U.S. government has always kind of gone to bat for their businesses. But in this case, very specifically, if India says yes or no to an Elon Musk, is that about Musk or is that about the U.S. government now?
Starlink, Tesla. I mean, X is a tiny thing in the scheme of things, but I believe they're quite happy with. So that does bring us to, now you've said also in the past that India and the US should look at a sort of alliance when it comes to Chinese assertiveness. When we just see the the news from the last week with DeepSeek and what's been happening with the sort of AI race, the race to AGI.